So let's talk about Opendoor. This is the company that promised to completely change how we buy and sell houses. But now, it's in the middle of this massive, incredibly risky pivot, betting pretty much everything on AI to pull itself back from the brink.
And that's really the big question here, isn't it? After burning through almost $4 billion, is this huge shift to AI a brilliant move that's going to save the company, or is it just way too little, way too late? The stakes, well, they really couldn't be any higher.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of the crisis, let's just do a quick refresher on what Opendoor even is. They were the pioneers of this iBuyer model. The whole idea was to get rid of all the stress of selling a house. You know, the months of waiting, the showings, the back-and-forth negotiations. Instead, they'd use their tech to give you a fair, instant cash offer. That was their whole game-changing identity.
But, as you can probably guess, that revolutionary idea, well, it's hit a massive wall. So let's really dig into the sheer scale of the crisis Opendoor is dealing with right now.
Yeah, nearly $4 billion. That's the total amount of money Opendoor's lost since they started back in 2014. It's just a staggering number, and it really points to a huge weakness in their model. It is incredibly sensitive to the housing market. So when home prices dip, even a little, a company that owns thousands of houses can lose an absolute fortune, like overnight.
And look, this isn't some old problem they've already solved. This is happening right now. To stop losing so much money, they've had to slam the brakes on their main business, buying houses. And that slowdown has been, well, it's been dramatic.
Just look at these numbers for the third quarter. A year ago, they bought more than 3,500 homes. This year, during that same time, they bought just over 1,100. That's a drop of more than 2/3. The company's engine isn't just sputtering, it's pretty much seizing up.
And it's not slowing down. In fact, it's getting worse. In just the last quarter alone, home purchases dropped another 33%. All the momentum is going in exactly the wrong direction, and it's picking up speed.
So what do you do when your company is in a total nosedive? Well, you bring in a new leader with a completely different, pretty radical diagnosis of what's gone wrong. So in comes Kaz Najarian. He's a veteran of the e-commerce giant Shopify, and he calls himself a computer nerd turned lawyer turned founder. He's a product and software guy through and through, and he's been brought in to find a software solution to this mess.
And he did not pull any punches. He came in and said basically the company had totally lost its way. He argued that Opendoor, a company that was built on tech, had forgotten where it came from and started acting like some slow, old-school real estate investment firm, an asset manager.
And this slide really lays out the culture shift he's trying to force. On the left, you've got the old way, he described, getting bogged down with manual copy and paste jobs and depending too much on outside consultants. And on the right, that's his vision, a real software firm driven by AI, automation, and leaders making decisions inside the company. So, this brings us to his big solution. And he's not just talking about a few tweaks here and there. He says he's trying to refound the company from the ground up as a software company that just happens to be in the real estate business. His playbook, on the surface, it sounds pretty simple. But the key is that a new AI engine is supposed to be powering all of it. Step 1, make stronger first offers. Not always higher, but way more accurate, using AI to price in all the little details a human might miss. Step 2, use that same AI to buy more of the right kind of homes, the ones they know they can sell quickly and for a profit. And finally, step 3, make the whole process smoother so those perfect sellers don't get frustrated and drop out. It's all about precision and most of all, speed. Now, are there any signs this is actually working? Well, maybe. It's super early, but there's a report that in the short time he's been in charge, the pace of buying homes actually doubled between mid-September and late October. I mean, it's one small piece of data, but hey, it's a positive one. So, you've got the new CEO with this clear vision and maybe some early signs of life. But how did the people with all the money react? Well, let's just say Wall Street is not sold on this plan. Not yet, anyway. Yeah. Right after they announced this new direction, the stock dropped 15%. Bam! Investors heard this whole plan, and their immediate reaction was basically, nope, we're not buying it. It just shows how uncertain the market is about whether this big pivot can actually work.
But inside the company, you could bet they're pushing back hard against that story. The interim CFO, Christy Schwartz, is arguing that if you look past the big loss numbers on the surface, the company's financial foundation is actually, in her words, genuinely phenomenal.
And she's pointing to some hard numbers to back that up. For instance, the company has the credit lines to go out and buy 5,000 homes right now. They've got 10 different lenders who have been with them for a long time. And their big goal is to get back to their peak, where they could finance 20,000 homes at once. The message they're trying to send is clear. We have the cash and the credit to make this turnaround happen.
So what we're left with is this really stark contrast. On one hand, you have a new, super tech-focused CEO with a bold plan to refound the company as a Silicon Valley software firm. And on the other hand, you have billions in losses and a Wall Street that's really, really skeptical. So the question is this AI-powered future the visionary reboot Opendoor needs? Or is it just the final chapter in a $4 billion cautionary tale?